Well, good morning, Diana. This is Diana Twede, Professor Emeritus, who is the big reason for why the Bike Center got built 20 years ago. And yeah, without your efforts and passion for biking, it likely wouldn't have happened. And I just really thank you for all that effort that you made 21, maybe 22 years ago. And so thanks for being willing to sit down and talk to us a little bit about how that all transpired and your interest in biking. And so tell us a little more about yourself and then your interest and background in biking, if you would.
Well, I've been here since I was a graduate student, got a bike since I didn't have a car, and I've been riding ever since.
Wow. Well, you've done a lot of different types of biking, touring. Did you ever race
No,
back in the day?
no. I had a boyfriend who rode really fast, though.
But he wouldn't ride really fast away from you.
Yes, he would. He's not my boyfriend anymore.
Oh, never tried a tandem?
Yeah, I didn't
didn't
like
work.
being out of control.
Yeah. Yeah, that is an issue for my wife as well. Well, so I notice you still ride every day. I'll see you riding past the shop. We'll wave and chit chat sometimes. You've been riding every day for your transportation when you were a professor here for all those years, or was that pretty much your
Well,
MO?
there was a point when we were really poor, my husband and I. We had owned a shop and we were losing a lot of money. And I was on the transportation committee and realized that I could save a lot of money by not buying a parking sticker. And I
Wow.
live really close. And so I started riding my bike year round. And it was like a miracle. At the end of the first winter, I found I'd lost 2 pant sizes. I had
Wow.
noticed because of all the long underwear,
Ha!
but it's great exercise. And
Mm.
when I retired, it was the part of my job I missed the most, commuting. So now I use the library a lot and
Mm.
come past here on my way, and it's the most beautiful place on earth to bike ride.
I know you in the spring you really love to come and you'll be on your way to go check out the early blooms, the flowers in the gardens. And,
Yep, I know where they all are.
yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. So tell us a little more about the origin of like you're thinking about recommending this bike center be.
Well, that was a real miracle. An unbelievable miracle. And you credit me with far too much. I was on the transportation committee and we had a subcommittee on bicycling, and our subcommittee recommended that we could really use a bike shop on campus to do the kinds of things that you're doing, fix bikes and fix them up and resell them and rent them and all of that. And so we recommended it. But you know as well as I do, being on campus, you recommend plenty of things that nobody ever does anything about them.
Uh,
But Vice President Poston at that time was really into sustainability and making the campus more user friendly for bicyclists as well as everybody. And he said, sure, let's do it. Let's have a bike shop. And the next thing I knew, we were going around to different buildings on campus looking for where was the best place to have it. And I'm really glad that we chose here because it's right on my way to work every day.
it is right here on the river trail,
Yep.
and it's right in the background.
And so the miracle is that the administrators listened and that the administrators were in favor of it. And it was due to a lot of people besides me making it happen. It was just an idea that hardly ever anybody
Yeah.
takes anybody up on at the university.
Dr. Poston was really a leader, I think, in probably the Big Ten, if not the country, for his vision for, the complete streets thing. It later became known as complete streets, but every time a campus road was touched, repaved or whatnot, it would be redone to be safer for pedestrians and biking, and not just for cars. That was kind of, I think, came out of his vision as
He
well.
claims that when he first came to campus, there was not one stop sign on campus.
Wow.
That every place that you now see a stop sign was a yield sign to the cars. It was like a suggestion. And he made things happen. The bike lanes are an important part of it. We're looking across the river here, and you got the bicycle superhighway that goes from one end of campus to the other.
Yep.
First separated, safe bike lane in all of the inner tri-county area.
Yeah, that really made that east-west corridor so much friendlier and safer. And
that's all due to you. All of this is due to you, Tim, and it's made a big difference to everybody on campus. You got the gold status at the bicycle-friendly university. East Lansing applied for it and flunked, and is now trying to work its way back. But you've been a real leader.
Well, thank you. It's been gratifying to see so much being done. I mean, so to give credit where credit's due, that the campus river trail, and let me cut over to that a little bit since it's very busy right now. Right over there on the south bank of the river, I learned a guy named Dennis Hansen, as you might recall. He was one of the lead, I think, designers or engineers in landscape services for what was known as Physical Plan at the time, and now IPF. But when I heard about it, he had designed the thing some 20 years prior to it getting constructed. And so one of his last things that he did before he retired was to just push that project through and make it happen. And I remember a certain president was not too happy when she claimed that she was almost run over by some bicyclists as she was crossing the Wells Bridge to go to lunch, which was, a thing that she liked to do every day. So it was an interesting thing to see that get put through, and now it connects east all the way to west from the edge to edge of campus, which that took a long time. I think it started maybe 15 years ago with that first section right here in the center of campus, and then the ends got built in over time.
It connects up to trails on both sides.
Yes, it does beautifully now. So it's really a nice connected network. It sure is. So I've got some other questions for you. So since you're on campus almost every day, maybe every day, what are some other things that you think could help us go to the next level? I mean, the next level from gold is platinum, and while we wouldn't be the first platinum university in the Midwest, there's a couple that have beat us to it, but we'd love to keep making things better for biking, and which also benefits people who walk, and now have all these electrical devices, kind of benefits everyone. But what do you think would be helpful to get us maybe to next level?
Well, more protected bike lanes that are different from the roads, not just connected to the roads.
Yeah.
But speaking of the bike lanes connected to the roads, there's one crucial place on the way to my house, connecting up with Collingwood and Farm Lane, that still doesn't have a bike lane on it. East Lansing finally built one, and campus has told us ever since back when I was on the transportation committee, and East Lansing Transportation Committee, every time they have one of those map things, and they draw big circles around places. That intersection had a big circle around it, and it still isn't fixed. And I don't know why. If Dr. Poston was here, it would be fixed.
Yeah, the campus side of that intersection, it's complex, but I remember seeing, and you probably remember seeing the design that they had built or put together.
They had a bunch of designs over the years.
Yeah, this is a really puzzling part of that connection to East Lansing, which that unfortunately, Abbott finally did get some sort of connection, so that may be our only complete connection through from campus to the city of East Lansing.
That happened when I was on East Lansing Transportation
That's right.
Committee.
Thank you for doing that, pushing that forward.
But Collingwood, no.
Collingwood, yeah. Anything else that you think might because yeah, the protected bike lane having some physical barrier. We did see the Bogue Street project happen, that pilot project back 4 years ago now, 5 maybe, just before the pandemic, I think it was.
It worked pretty well for us bicyclists.
There
Anyway,
were no complaints other than the CATA. That's what I heard. They didn't like losing a bus stop. So I noticed, because I was out there using it and video recording, that, wow. It sure is getting gusty. So I'd noticed that Bogue Street pilot, that the behavior of the people biking was, previously without it, 90% or so of people would be riding their bikes on the sidewalk, weaving in and out of pedestrians, which is what we've been trying to discourage and is actually against campus ordinance. Then with that protected facility in Bogue Street, it went 90% were using the facility and they weren't on the sidewalks. And so it was a complete success. It was like, build it, yes, and they did use it. They build it and they'll come. I mean, it was very obvious to everybody that it was working. So unfortunately, that whole project just, even though it was a success and everybody agreed to it, it just didn't get put in permanently. And we've been waiting ever since for that to get somewhere up on the priority list to get built. And then supposedly we were supposed to get Shaw Lane, east to west, improved in a similar fashion so that it would be more inviting and safer for people to bike and now scoot. So yeah, we've been, those would be really nice to, I think, take us to that next level in terms of facilities. Anything in regards to like more policy related or, not brick and mortar necessarily, but I mean, the Bike Friendly University has like 5 different areas. Engineering is the facilities part, which I think we've always done very well in, but other areas, do you have any ideas for how we might move forward in terms of encouraging it, or what are the other ones? Encouraging, there's 5 E's. Do you have any other thoughts on those?
no, I don't.
Yeah. That gets a little trickier because then you're talking about trying to change behavior, which,
Well, we've got a perfect place to change behavior, though. We get a new crop every 4 years.
yeah, it's true.
I guess one of the things we could do is to start teaching them to not throw their bikes in the river at the end of the school year.
That is a conundrum. Some people seem to enjoy throwing things in the river that make loud splashes. Apparently that's entertaining, which, yeah, I don't understand it. The thing about people coming to campus, so I would say the majority of our customers tend to be international students, and so they come to campus, and one of the first things they do is come to our shop to get a bike. It's part of their upbringing. They're used to getting around on a bike in their communities where they came from. That certainly, I think, helps set the tone for a lot of other bicyclists. They see quite a lot of people riding bikes when they get here from maybe a community that didn't use biking as much, and so that really does help us in that sense. But yeah, somehow bridging the gap between growing up in a community maybe where they didn't bike as much, maybe it wasn't as safe, or they just drove everywhere. Like, seems like parents want to drive their kids to school because it's dangerous, but yet they create the danger while they're driving their kid to school. It's quite a conundrum to know how to resolve that. But
I think you ought to repeat that article about how quick it is to get around campus on a bike.
yeah, the
Remember
time.
when you had
Sure.
a contest between driving,
Yes.
walking, and
Terry
biking?
Link did that.
And biking always won. And as we have new generations of students, I think speed should appeal to them.
Yeah, you think. I mean, I tell them you can save an hour a day without exaggeration, by biking versus walking or even taking the bus.
Besides, it's more fun.
Yeah, sure is. Were you part of speaking of the contest, so Terry Link did that one in 2005, I think, where he had groups of people start at 3 or 4 different locations and finish at the same spot at the same time. I did some research and found that there was some, not the same thing, but back in the 70s, there was a commuter challenge, they called it. And they did a series of, for a number of years, where they would time a bicyclist with a car commuter and how long it took them to get 2 miles away from campus. And so they somehow figured out a way to do this systematically or in a orderly fashion. And they would measure how long it took the motorist to get to that 2 mile point versus the bicyclist. And it was quite a fascinating thing they did in the I think the early 70s. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's another interesting way to maybe prove the point. Well, I appreciate your willingness to sit down and talk about background and how this bike center got established. One of just a few in the entire country.
Well, we're so proud of it and of you.
Well, thank you so much. Our university is, I think, blessed to have this right in the center of campus, and it's been nice to sit down and chat with you. As always is.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks again. And thanks to our sound engineer, Colin.
All right. Thanks, Colin.
Thanks, Colin. Have a great day.